This video shows how to assemble our motorized bull run pump lift. This is a full assembly video, showing all steps. The model assembled is one of the ball lifts which fit on our modular bull runs. This model was made from 1/8 MDF, but any suitable 1/8 or 3 mm material could be used. All our modular ball runs are designed to run 1/2 inch or 12.7 mm steel balls. The cutting files for these models are available to download for free on our website, freelaserfiles.com. The files are drawn with no kerf compensation. This means that the slots are drawn at 1/8 or 3.175 mm wide, and are drawn at the same length as the corresponding tabs. Titebond 3 wood glue will be used to build this model, and paste wax will be used to lubricate some moving parts. Several rubber bands and small clamps will be used to hold parts while the glue dries. The first parts to assemble are numbers 24, 25, 29, and 30. Wipe away any excess glue. Leave these to dry. Next, you will need to assemble parts numbers 18, 19, 20, 21, and 42. Check that these parts are aligned, and set them aside to dry. The two uprights, numbers 2 and 3, now need to have the 4 spacers, numbers 5, attached. Part number 1 will be used to hold the parts flat while the glue dries. The part numbers on the uprights need to be covered by the spacers. Again, the part number side of this upright needs to have the spacers attached to it. Lay part number 1 across the wide section of the uprights to hold them flat while the glue dries. Next you will need parts numbers 1, 6, 7, and 8. The two parts number 11, and numbers 12, 13, and 14. Make sure that parts number 11 align to the outer edge of the plate number 7. These parts also need to align with the outer edge of part number 7. The odd-sized slots ensure that this assembly goes into the correct position on plate number 1. Make sure that the assembly is upright on the plate. Part numbers 15, 16, and the two number 17 are the next to be assembled. A small clamp will hold them while the glue dries. The two uprights, which you assembled earlier, can now be joined to part number 4. Two small rubber bands will be used to hold these together until the glue dries. The ball pusher, which you started earlier, can now be completed by adding parts numbers 22 and 23. The pivot points at each end of part 23 should be lubricated. Paste wax will be used in this assembly. The flywheel, which you assembled earlier, can now be installed into the plate number 1. Using the 3 discs numbers 31 and the ring, part number 32. These parts will also be lubricated with paste wax. When the glue holding the flywheel has dried, the ball pusher guide, part number 14, and the crank disc and pin, parts numbers 26 and 27, can be attached. The guide fits into the area shown on the plate. When the glue holding the guide and pin is dry, the ball pusher can be installed. This is held onto the crank with the small disc, number 28. These parts will also be lubricated with paste wax. Turn the flywheel, as shown, and slide the ball pusher into place. It is important not to get glue onto the pivot point. Put the disc in place. Add glue to the top of the disc. And work it into the joint. The battery holder is assembled next, from parts numbers 34, 35, 36, and 37. The upright can now be attached to the plate. The sprung catch needs to fit into the slot as shown. Smooth out any excess glue. The two plates, part numbers 15, can be attached next. The infeed can be assembled next, from parts numbers 38, 39, 40, and 41. Part number 33, the motor steady, can now be glued under the plate. To power this lift, we will be using a 6-volt, 40 RPM, battery-powered motor. The batteries will be housed in a switchable battery box. A flange coupling will be used to connect the motor to the model. Links for where we source these items are on our website. The disc under your lift is designed to make mounting the flange easy. It will be secured with small screws. The battery box wires were soldered to the motor and insulated with heat shrink tubing. Soldering is not shown in this video. Place the battery box in place with the switch accessible in the cutout. Slot the motor in place. The motor steady is offset to align the motor. Temporarily put a rubber band around the battery box holder to prevent it falling out. Turn the lift to align the set screw in the flange, with the flat on the motor output shaft. Tighten the set screw. A rubber band can be placed over the motor to help support it. Test the operation of your lift. Part number 9, the ball ejector, and the out feed, are the last parts to be attached. Make sure that the ball ejector is fully in place, to prevent balls jamming at the top of the column. Leave this to dry. Remove the rubber band from the battery box and tidy the wire. The lift can now be put in place on our modular marble run base, which was assembled in an earlier video. These are secured with 2 removable pins. The switch is accessible through the back hole in the base. Balls need to return on the back track to feed this lift. Put a run in place and start to load balls. For the first use, the lift column needs to be loaded with balls. Please let us know in the comments if you would like us to design more lifts and runs to fit this base. We hope that you will subscribe to our YouTube channel to enable us to keep producing free laser files.